so strange for me to see somebody else name. You know what I'm saying? I was like, is this right?
Where you been? You're usually very.
I missed that. I missed that. I'm like, okay. They got one past me, John. They got one past me.
If it had been historical, you would have lost it.
Right. I see. I just saw him.
Oh, he's down there now?
I guess it's been a little longer than that. He eats over at Steakhouse. Carolina.
Oh, you gone?
Yeah. I've seen him on a couple of occasions. I was just may attend that. That's his story. I might attend that. I've been so walk up in the middle and says, yeah, something. It's been forever. Big Jack.
Hey man, how are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be.
I do want to ask you a question.
Any word from the president?
I just texted him to see if he wants us to go get started or wait for now, and I have not heard from him. As soon as I do.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Excuse me.
No, that's, yeah, this is just for administration, so there's a whole other list of all of just as that'll go before the committee and y'all will. Yeah, so all of the outside, all the outside agency stuff, and that's not gonna listen to anybody, because they're not due to us to June 30th. I'm compiling a list just like this, but it's with those. Yeah, but they've turned in their stuff, so I've got all their information, so. I'll panic with you because I get water from them.
Okay. Guys, how are you? Nice to see you.
Hello, sir.
Because I got this to see, I was walking to the house and I was following behind it, and I was like, I don't know.
Hey, you talking about Army birthdays? I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, that's
We just
fine.
have to go to the best friend.
Got the bread going.
Uh-huh.
Hey. Hey. Yeah, I had an emergency to take care of. How you doing? Yeah.
Jeez. No iPhone chargers. Commissioner. Plugs far away. No vegan only options for lunch.
I am only meat options.
He's gonna start asking Michelle to bring some organic eggs from the farm. Watch.
I got lots of them.
Good idea.
You selling them?
Not yet.
When you start selling them, I'm buying them.
Okay. Calling the work session for June 14, 2021 to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Young. Present. Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Cawthorn.
Present.
Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Tagliaferra.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Here.
All right, we have 9 present and 3 absent. You do have a quorum.
Okay, I would also ask everyone that's in the audience that our protocol still says that all citizens in the chamber will wear masks. So I ask that you will put your mask on until you come to the podium, and you can actually take it off at that time. Commissioner Lazarus, would you do the invocation, and Commissioner Young, the Pledge of Allegiance? Would you please stand?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this day, for all the many blessings that you have given us. Lord, lead, guide, and direct us as we conduct the parish's business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please make the appropriate salute for you and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lazarus and Commissioner Young. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us to agenda additions. I have 2 proposed agenda additions today. I don't know if you have any additional, but we have 2 that have been proposed. The first is potential agenda addition to authorize a proclamation honoring and recognizing Mayor Lorenz Lowe Walker for his many years of service as the mayor of Bossier City, as well as his service on behalf of the community, from Commissioner Epperson. And would you like me to read the second one at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, that second one is a potential agenda addition authorizing a proclamation to express gratitude to Dave Dennis for his contributions to the civil rights movement. And that's from Commissioner Cawthorn.
Okay. D.
Second.
Move for both?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved to add the agenda additions of Mayor Lowe Walker, and who's the second one?
Right here.
Dave Dennis.
No.
Dave Dennis.
David Dennis.
Civil rights person.
And David Dennis. We now open it up for public remarks. Is there anyone in favor or against adding these 2 agenda additions? You can now come forward. Since no one is coming, public hearing is now closed on those 2 agenda additions. We will now vote to add those 2 agenda additions to our agenda.
All right, and that passes with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. And that brings us to our next item, which is citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission are asked to fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to either the president or the clerk of commission, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. We have received a number of requests for citizens' comments, and they have been shared with the president.
Okay, the first person is Latasha Sherman.
My name is Latasha Sherman. I just moved into this state about 4 years ago. I never experienced injustice till I moved here. According to the federal law, Shreveport City Courts didn't follow none of the federal laws, and I got evicted for exercising my rights. And I'm very hurt about that because we was under the COVID-19, and I was under the First CARES Act. And my name is destroyed by that. It make me feel like I was in prison. I came here as a free woman, but I got to leave your state as a slave because of your justice system at the Shreveport City Courts and with the lawyers that don't follow the federal laws here. And all I want is my name back. I came here with a good record, and I want to leave here with a good record. I've been fighting by myself, being a pro se on my own case, because the lawyers here don't really want to fight for me according to the federal laws here. And by me, what I mean by federal laws, I was also receiving housing from the Section 8. I was being harassed by the Housing Authority employee. The Housing Authority employee and the owner was friends. So he kept me here against my will when I asked to move out. He told me, no, you're gonna stay here. And that put an eviction under my name. And I would like to have help behind that, to look into that, my case even more deeper, is because they also, not only that they didn't treated me fair, they also broke laws by submitting falsifying evidence, which I have here today. Because under the First CARES Act, they're supposed to notify me 30 days certified. They put in a signature. The judge ruled that was my signature, would not once ask me for my identification to see was that my signature or not. And come to find out, through the United States Post Office, it went to a whole totally different zip code, a whole totally different address. But by the lawyer who was running for judge here, knew the other judge there, because they were speaking before we had our trial, he ruled in her favor. So this is injustice here. I feel that the judge needs to treat everyone equal, not because of skin color. I never experienced racism till I moved into this state. White on white racism or black on black racism. I never experienced that until I moved here. And I would like for my name, I want my name to be cleared. It feels like I've been in prison. I paid my bills for 46 years. I never had an eviction under me. And I need that eviction off of me by the law. I have the facts and the law. This state's supposed to do facts and law, not because I'm not a lawyer, not because I don't know him or him or him. It's because of the law. This is what we elected city officials for, because of the law, not because you buddy and they're gonna agree with the other person. It's not right. We have federal laws. They violated the CARES Act. They violated me, my First Amendment right, my due process. They violated me all the way around. And it seemed like it's hard to find an attorney here because they say I'm in Shreveport and people don't want to represent a lot of people in Shreveport. I don't know how that works. But I feel that it's not right at all, that I'm the one that's suffering and I have to live in a place that I was trying to move and go back with an eviction. Like I said, I'm from, oh, my time expired already? Oh,
Move to
okay.
extend.
Well, thank you.
Got him.
You can finish?
Huh?
You can finish.
Oh, it feels, to me and my kids, I really feel, I'm very hurt by it. I'm very hurt by it because I never experienced it. And when I went to court on May the 19th, Judge Mackey said, this is her words, this is state court, this is not federal, but you still gotta abide by federal laws. And to me, that's injustice, is because she's saying, hell what I gotta say. She trying to make me pay the housing authority part, when clearly when I was trying to show her that, hey, this is on Section 8, I don't pay for Section 8 part. Now she's trying to tell me I have to pay $1,000 a month because Section 8 stopped paying because the landlord fails to do her part of fixing my property. So it's just too much injustice here, and I'm hurt by it. And for her to say that she's not going to follow federal laws at a state city court, it shows me what state Louisiana is in. And we need to fix that because it's not right.
Dr. Wilson, could you get somebody from staff to get the name of the place at which she was staying at and some of the
And I can give y'all all the information.
and the
I made
information
copies.
and
Y'all
get
can
it
see.
to us.
Okay.
He's gonna get someone to.
Thank you.
Okay. Next person is Mr. Lester Smith.
Good evening. Lester Smith, 4148 Theo Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. I arise to speak on the funding that's come down the pipe, and I have some concerns as to how is it going to be used to address some of the problems that we are confronting with in our neighborhood, especially the African American community. Asking a question, I guess. How has this money been allocated to be spent, and what portion of it is going to be used to address some of the issues in the African American community? Crime, the plight, just the African American community as a whole. We got people working in the community, and we got other people now jockeying for position to get monies that we got people's already doing the work. And I think these people should be compensated, if anybody should be compensated. So I want this money to be distributed equally among the people and to address the issues. It ain't so much individuals getting money, but to address those issues. Crime, the property standards in our community, it's a gamut of issues in the community. The roads in our community are worse than third world roads. So I'm here to seek some answers as to how this money is going to be spent and when it will be spent, and what do we need to do as community activists and community organizers to apply for this money for our prospective communities. Thank you.
Okay, you want some answers to some of those questions?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Ms. Haley Burnett, can you provide him a brief overline of what we haven't, well, she'll tell you what we have done and what we haven't done.
Can she give that to me so that I can take it back to my group?
She can talk to you about it, but
Okay.
we don't have anything that we voted on yet.
Okay. Once you get it voted on, I can get a copy of it, right?
Yeah, once it's voted on, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Next person is Robert Tyler.
My name is Robert Tyler. I'm from the 71103 area code. I'm here to speak in opposition to the ordinance 6080. Are we going to help the community? According to KTBS, the poverty in Shreveport is higher than the rest of the country. 1 in 4 citizens in Caddo Parish live under the poverty rate. Data shows people living under the poverty rate threshold has more than double the rate of violent victimization compared to individuals in high-income households, no matter the skin color. According to the research by New York University, conducted from 1990 to 2013, they found in a city of at least 100,000 citizens, each new community organization led to a 1.2% drop in the homicide rate. Yet, I see majority of the 43 million going to the parish administration, which we know majority of their funds go to detention centers and juvenile justice, feeding the cycle of mass incarceration. The price of a 2-year degree has doubled since the 90s, making workforce development programs the only feasible options for poor people. Opioids, crack, heroin, and other drugs are only treated realistically through free or low-cost services from community-based centers for poor people. So my question is, do we want to prevent crime by providing resources like expanding access to substance abuse and work development programs, etc.? Or do we want to continue bigoted, racist, Nixon and Reagan, Jim Crow, tough on crime, alternative factual-based policies making and budgeting that adds to the problem? And I say it's racist because it targets the poor, and we know who holds majority in that class. Do we have, can I get an answer?
We can't answer.
You can't answer.
You can't answer if we're gonna use the money towards the community-based programs, versus having most of that money go towards the detention centers and juvenile centers?
Once we vote, then it would become public record. We'll vote today. Well, we'll vote to push this forward. So in the process of our debate, you'll hear some answers to your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Next person is Rika Peoples.
Rika Peoples, 71107. I'm here to speak on resolution 56. We saw firsthand how police brutality took a toll on the U.S. And as we watched the videos of Alton Sterling, Anthony Charles, George Floyd, Tommy McLaughlin, and Ronald Green, we knew then something had to be done. In the Ronald Green video, you see the superior officers watching and also participating in his death. My question to you is, when are we going to start holding the chain of command accountable? I am a daughter of a sergeant who served this community for 24 years. So I know firsthand how policing and accountability is. As an activist, I also know we must fight for policies to protect the citizens from police. In order for us to build trust within the community, we must start with police reform. We cannot normalize police brutality. When I traveled throughout the different parishes for justice, I learned that each parish is different. In DeSoto Parish, police brutality is happening more in the poor white community that has poor white women that was taken in the woods, raped by deputy sheriff, and no one has yet been held accountable. So this resolution will protect all races, not just the black community. I hope this commission will take a lead and pass this resolution. In the words of our president, our past president, Obama, we cannot solve the changes of our time unless we solve them together. We must work on these symptomatic issue as a whole. The People's Promise for support Resolution 56, the George Floyd Policy Act of 2020. And we also support Resolution 53, sponsored by Stephen Jackson. And Commissioner Lynn, I spoke with Fiona, George Floyd, brother this morning, and he appreciates you. He will try to be here Thursday with his lead activists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peoples. Rudolph Glass.
Good afternoon. Rudolph Glass, 71103. I'm here today to pretty much speak on the American Rescue Plan Fund, and I guess my concern is where exactly the money is going to be spent and how. I know you haven't voted on it yet, but one of the most important things we have to look at is neighborhoods, especially in the black community. We have more blight than any other community in this city. People have lost hope. I'm the president of the Lakeside Area Neighborhood Association, and in an attempt to get people to meetings and all, they don't believe that anybody's going to do anything, especially what they say, because they feel that every time someone comes through the community offering help is getting ready to run for office or get some type of other position. So we need to think about that. So many people are concerned, and with the gun violence, the shootings, like the young man gave the statistics of different places and how things work, especially when it comes down to whether people have money or not. And I just think that you should look at where the money actually should go. I'm quite sure you all have y'all have information that we don't have to make the decisions. So I'm just hoping that you use the right decisions to get these things done. Also, I wasn't going to say anything about this, but as I listened to Ms. Peoples talked about the police violence and all, I mean the police brutality. You know, you have a lot of people that at this point, they don't trust the police. And I think that's a sad thing, but I think that something should be done to try and get people to have some type of hope, whether it's with the community, the police, the local government, or whatever. And I think that's something that has to be done. And I just hope, and I know a lot of you up there, and I know you're good people, and I just hope that you can convince others to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Glass. Ms. Laura Savage.
Hello, my name is Laura Sabbath, 71108. I came to this board a couple months ago and asked for an independent investigation. Can anybody tell me, was one selected? Is it an independent investigation going on? Can I talk to the investigator? I still have no clarity about the death of my son, Casey Simpson. We talk about in custody deaths. They're still going on as we speak now. And still nobody is upset, appalled, or anything. This panel okayed this independent investigation. Can anybody tell me what's going on?
Attorney Frazier, can you meet with her and give her some answers for what you know?
Speak from here? Do you want?
Oh, you can speak from here.
Well, she can't ask questions during public comment, so basically you have to talk to her.
Okay, ask what you say.
Not through yet. So I am so vested in my community. I live in a hot spot. I can afford to move on Ellerby Road, Newcastle, Keyfield, Bossier. I can move anywhere I want to. Not doing that. I need some of that money to protect my neighborhood. I got a plan. It's a good plan. So can you give me some of that money? I can give you receipts. I don't need to benefit from it. I have my own money. I have my own job. So I could really use that money and put it to work. So how is it that I can get a piece of that pie too? You can answer.
She can answer that question as well.
That one too?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this money has guidelines, we just can't give it.
Oh, I don't know the process.
That's why.
Just like I didn't know the process of, authorizing an independent investigation and then I don't hear nothing about nothing. I still have no clarity about the death of my son, Casey Simpson. We got to do something about these in custody deaths. I'm just so shocked all the time why the residents of Shreveport are not appalled by this. And we paying for this. I pay a lot of taxes to sit and wake up every day knowing that the people responsible for my son's death still walking around and getting paid by my tax dollars. Thank you so much.
Okay. That's all the public comments that I have. Next item.
Okay. That brings us to visitors. We have no scheduled visitors at the moment, so we'll move forward. We have next on the agenda is old business. We don't have any old business scheduled, so that brings us to new business. Where the first item we have is to authorize introduction of ordinance number 6080 of 2021. It's an ordinance adopting the budget of estimated expenditures for the American Rescue Plan Fund and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
Second.
Then moved by the chair, seconded by the vice president to advance ordinance number 6080 of 2021. Seeing no one on the board, let's vote. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to make an amendment, offer up an amendment to ordinance number 6080 to reduce, hold on, let me pull it up here. To reduce the parish administration allocation by $3 million and add that to the commission program, so we'll basically take that up to $7 million. If I can get a second.
Second. Been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Epperson to move $3 million from administration to commissioner projects. Commissioner Jackson, you gonna speak to that motion?
Yes, you know, I guess I have more questions as well as to how were these projects prioritized, what came into play to prioritize these. You know, the American Rescue Plan talked about a number of priorities, and one of the chief priorities they talked about was helping communities, helping neighborhoods, helping individuals, helping small businesses. There may be some aspects of that. I just don't know that at this time I'm ready to commit to putting so much into what I see here. You know, clerk of court lobby expansion, second floor usable space increase. For years, we have heard on this particular body that parish tax dollars cannot be used for certain projects or for certain initiatives. And I think that there are some ideas out there that the community, I am fortunate enough to represent the Lakeside Area Neighborhood Association, and when they brought it to my attention, I started asking questions. I talked to Dr. Wilson last week. And for years, you know, some of the things we have told them, no, we couldn't do, we can't use parish tax dollars. Lester Smith in Moortown. For years, we have told them, no, we can't use parish tax dollars for that. And so now we have a set of resources that may be able to be tapped to use those funds to help do something for the community. And so, you know, I'm not saying the parish administration doesn't have any needs, any capital needs. I'm just trying to see how can we use more to help the community, to help senior citizens, to help small businesses, to help our veterans in a more comprehensive and cohesive way. And so again, I'm not trying to diminish the needs. I see $8 million for the Walter Jacobs Park project. I know at one point we were trying to work with our legislative delegation to get those resources. And I believe Senator Tarver committed to getting that project done. And I take him to be a man of his word. And if he says he's going to do half, which is what, 4 million? Would it be half of this 8 million?
They haven't said what number yet.
Okay. But the total project is 8 million?
Yeah. No.
The inflationary costs went up a little bit.
Okay. But the total cost of the project, is it 8 million?
No, the total cost of the project would be more like 11 million.
So, you know, I take him at his word that they will do it. And before the American Rescue Plan funds came together, we agreed that we would do our part at the local level. And so again, you know, I just like to see a little bit more equity, I guess, in regards to commission programs, which I assume is for community-based programs. And so I think, you know, a $3 million share is reasonable. It's not taking it all, but I think it's a reasonable ask to go over to community programs so that we can support the community needs. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I'm looking over this this guideline that we received from the administration. I see everything line itemed out, and it's a good wish list from the administration. But likewise, I know, like we heard the gentleman come down and reference the Blythe, and this is not the first time we've heard that this is a growing issue, and this will reduce crime as well as improve neighborhoods. But I don't see like a topic of that on this, unless I'm not reading it correctly. Where is the area that we can come together as the commission to address the needs of the community as opposed to just the parish buildings. The last thing I want is we receive this lump sum of money and we hear the people say, you got some big, nice, beautiful buildings, even though we already have funds to do a lot of this stuff, but they're left in the same situation that they're in currently. Where's the line item of the expenses on this report where we can allocate and move money for needs of the parish, of the citizens, not of the parish buildings, not of capital outlay?
Commissioner, the list we provided is only the list from administration. What the commission wants to recommend as to program and all, that would be something that comes through y'all, through your rescue committee. The list you have is only from whatever you allocate to administration, what some of the projects that we would be looking to sponsor through administration. We're not trying to say what, make a recommendation for the commission as to which programs, or as some of the stuff that was mentioned here today. There is a category for public health and crime initiatives that maybe the commission, when you're allocating whatever you decide for whatever projects you decide, could come under that category.
Okay, that's fair. So now all we're waiting on is the like a committee set up to address the citizens' needs, and from there we'll start talking. Okay.
Right. We're only speaking to the administration line item on there. The other line items, the committee has put an application out for those outside entities that your agencies as well as some other public bodies can submit their requests to you all through the American Rescue Committee or whatever committee you decide. To look at those items and make recommendations that you want under those items.
Okay.
We would make recommendations that for whatever allocation from the administration side.
Under the administration funds, can you allocate a little bit so we can do some marketing, so we can reach out to the communities to have these town hall meetings to ensure that we get the will of the public, so to speak, so we know how to address this going forward whenever the committee convenes?
If the committee decides that they want to have whatever meetings, then yes, we can help market those, whatever you all decide that, whatever that committee decides that they want to do in that regard, or with the commission, whatever you decide you want to do.
Okay.
Yes, we definitely come.
And then my last question, I understand why Commissioner Jackson would like to see an increase in the community funds. After we pass this and move it forward to get voted on, will we be able, after the committee is formulated and we hear the needs of the citizens, can we readjust monies? If we do see that we need more money for the public than this park, and this park doesn't need this $8 million, but we need this in specific communities, can we move it then? I just don't want them to be allocated where we can't move it out of that bucket because we already voted on it. So
No.
You're saying we can move it later?
We can reallocate.
Okay.
Yes, you can. And this is just the overall budget. No specific projects are being identified today. What you have from administration is just what we've identified. That is not anything that's final.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. I'm done, President. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chavez. On this money that we're talking about, it's under the American Rescue Plan, but it's also called the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. And so those funds have particular guidelines. Just like part of the American Rescue Plan was individual stimulus checks that went to individuals. So this money basically goes to your local and state and local governments. And what they're supposed to do is, for one, is to make themselves whole based upon lost revenues that they didn't get in 2020, 2020, 2021, and 3 other years forward. So this is to help local governments rebound back in order to be able to do programs that they were doing before COVID hit them. There are some other areas in which you can use this money, but revenue replacement was one of the main reasons for this particular lump sum of money. There's COVID-19 expenses. There's premium pay to employees. That's one thing that I talked about initially, that we shouldn't roll out. The first thing out of this plan was premium pay for employees. It could have came later on, but it was pushed to bring it out first. So that came out first. Investment to infrastructure. Well, the infrastructure is listed as water, sewer, broadband. those are the infrastructures. Roads, there's another lump sum of money that's coming out of the American Rescue Plan to deal with roads, but not this lump sum of money. So we can't go in and fix streets in Shreveport, fix street in Caddo Parish with this money, because this money guidelines does not cover us to do roads with. And then economic recovery. So basically some of that will be coming from the commissioners on projects that they see helping small businesses get back started to kick off some of those industries that basically suffered during COVID-19. So a lot of the things that you would want the money to be used for, the money can't be used for, based upon federal guidelines. Now, we can go ahead and do it, but guess what's gonna happen? The parish is gonna have to pay that money back to the federal government because we didn't follow the federal guidelines. So what we've been trying to do and what the administration has done is put together what they have lost in revenue as part of revenue replacement, what COVID-19 expenses they have had, the premium paid to employees that we voted on and passed, and then the investment into water, sewer, and basically we did some investment into some water systems that they're gonna recruit back, put that back into oil and gas. So now oil and gas funds will then come back up, so then we can then come back and say we wanna do some additional programs that's not covered under these federal guidelines and do those programs out of oil and gas. And then economic recovery. Most of them gonna be programs coming out of the commissions, and also in the budget that we set up, there's $1.5 million for non-governmental agents, entities, which will be nonprofit organizations, community groups, that we can then see if they can fit into this particular deal. If not, then we'll move that 1.5 into the commissioner's program and let the commissioners decide on how they're gonna use that money instead of the 6.5. So that'll end up being $8 million that the commission programs can actually use. The most important piece of this is we have to put together a plan, and the plan has to be put together and submitted to the federal government in order for us to execute and use the money. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing is basically putting a budget together to say how are we gonna spend the money in general terms, and then we can come back and put the programs into it. I don't want the parish to get a black eye to saying that we didn't use the funds right. So basically we're trying to follow the guidelines that are set in front of us because this is federal dollars. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. You all may have covered it. I was in a broadband meeting, and as you know, our broadband initiative in the parish is very new. We don't have a plan. That's one thing I realized when I sat down with the others from the city of Shreveport as well as the Caddo Parish School Board. They pretty much have a plan, tentative plan in place, and chances are they will be overlaying their plans on each other. And I was trying to find out where do we fit into this overall process, since we were supposed to be getting funds for our broadband initiative. And I'm seeing here in this particular budget, it's $2 million, which based upon what they're talking about won't even tickle the ivory. I assume that we'll come back at some point because there got to be other resources somewhere, because the broadband initiative that I'm hearing about and discussing in this broadband committee is really really expensive. So I guess my question here is this just a startup, something we have to send back in order to justify these dollars, and maybe we're coming back at some point with other broadband initiative monies? I'm just talking about that one particular area because that's the area that
Right.
you gave me responsibility over.
So from what I've been told, school board, the city, and the parish will eventually get together and talk about broadband. The school board basically has the lump sum of money for broadband. contribute to that particular initiative, and the city of Shreveport is going to contribute to that initiative as well.
But we're not, well, what I see here and look and listen and listening to the numbers that they're talking about, this is a drop in the bucket.
Well, school board is getting over 250 million.
I realize that they're not going to be carrying
246. So.
I mean, they're going to probably be carrying a larger portion of the weight, but based upon what I'm seeing here, and that's the reason I say that undoubtedly there's some other money somewhere else. They will be carrying 99% of it, of whatever it is, and I don't think that they're going to support that. All three of us are going to.
So, from my also understanding that it should be a public-private partnership in getting the whole deal done, and not just public dollars.
I agree with that too. But anyway, I'll see where it goes because since we don't have a plan that we can even talk about money from the parish standpoint, the city and the school board does have a tentative plan. It's all in the infant stages right now anyway.
Right.
Hopefully this will.
I would assume that a study has been done on what is available and what's not available before they start saying how much it's going to cost.
They're just starting to put that together.
Okay. That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No problem. Commissioner Cartha.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I am thankful and grateful for the citizens who have come down this evening and to express their concerns as to how we're going to distribute this money, and the idea that they want to use it for what I sense quality of life improvements. And I understand that, and the public should be afforded the opportunity to express that in any shape, form, or fashion. If you guys can remember, we sent out an American Rescue Fund application that was to be distributed to constituencies so that they could outline a plan that they want, and they could send that to us in by the 30th. Correct, Mr. President?
It went to.
That's correct.
Yeah,
it's
that's correct.
And so essentially what we have here, like I tell people all the time, is a communication gap. So that's a communication gap in the understanding that the community wants to be involved with these dollars that are coming in at one time lump sum into our coffers. They want to be involved in that. So we've got so we have a mechanism by which we can communicate to them. I have sent out personally about 8 or 9 of those applications to people who want to do programming. And I've explained it to my citizens and the people of the local community. Go ahead and submit your plan, and then we will determine whether or not it fits in the criterion outlined by the federal government.
Right.
So I want to take this opportunity again. If Haley can send the application back out to all the commissioners, and those commissioners who have citizens in their district that are interested in doing something and have a plan, get that application to them so they can get it back to us by the 30th. And then additionally, the president also said that we could, in the American Rescue meeting, that based on the demands of the community, we may have to adjust the dollar amount up and down. And so that's all been taken into consideration. So I just believe in, oftentimes with public bodies and the community, there's always a disconnect in the communication. So I just want to clear that communication gap up, that the citizens haven't been left out. There's a mechanism by which you can request money in your particular community. We'll make the assessment on whether or not it meets the guidelines. So if you can get that back out to the commissioners again, and the commissioners can get it to their citizens.
Yeah, and all the commissioners, you can go to our website, caddo.org, and pull that off.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Commissioner Epps.
I'd like to move that we postpone the introduction of ordinance number 68 of 2021 until such time that we have an opportunity to meet publicly with the citizens within our respective districts.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by who?
I believe it's Commissioner Jackson.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Epperson, you want to speak to your motion?
Okay, what I've heard here is well and good. However, we know that there are a few individuals that are within this parish that are astute and articulate enough and keep up with what goes on in this body. Also, everyone is not media savvy where they have access to computers and things of that nature. We still need good old hands on with the people. Now, what I've heard is, I understand the parish is getting X amount of millions of dollars. You know the first thing come on their mind, you and your friends know what's going on, but we don't know what's going on. And that's the perception that's out there. And when I see like this list come out, that even exacerbates that situation even more so. Looking on the juvenile detention center, $1,735,000. And here we've been operating the juvenile detention center at the same millage since 1958. However, people are steady making laws, putting more on us as far as increasing the age of the persons that we must take on at the juvenile detention center. I think it's imperative that we meet with the citizens. We're about 3 weeks behind. I think we tried to start something like this at first. I thought it was self. We wouldn't have what we have here today had we went on and started meeting. They were getting it confused with the city holding their meetings in the community. Of course we have a communication block because it appears as though we want to hold what we are getting close to the best. That's what the citizens are perceiving. So I think our best point would be to postpone this, call public meetings. I know we got 12 districts. We might do 2 districts together. But the main thing is to let the people know and come out and meet with them personally where they have an opportunity and they can hear straight from the horse's mouth as what we can and what we can't do. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Brand, I'm just trying to, I want to make sure we understand the information here. And I'm trying to reconcile Ordinance 6080 to the American Rescue Plan Administration requests. Is this the 31.2 million at the top of the administration project request? Is that simply 2 years of the parish administration at roughly 15.3?
Yeah, roughly,
Okay.
because you only have the 23.3, so that's all you can allocate at this time. That's all you can appropriate this time. We would have to do the second allocation once we get those funds. Or if we're anticipating them, we can budget for 2022, but right now we don't have those funds, so we just did about half for each category.
So right now, we're looking at allocating 2022's numbers, which are roughly 15.3 for parish administration, 2 million for parish-funded agencies, 4 million in the first year for commission-derived projects, and 2 million for other public bodies. So all these ideas that may bubble up from the community, there'll be 4 million in 2022 to allocate towards those. Plus, if we need to make adjustments next year, we've got another $23 million next year, and we could allocate additional funds to the community, commission generated ideas or community generated ideas. So this is just the first big bite of 2 big bites at an apple. And in this bite, there's 4 million allocated to commission projects, and in next year there may be more allocated to commission projects. So we're just trying to keep the ball rolling here. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I'll support the motion to postpone Commissioner Epperson's motion. I agree that I just don't know that what I hear from the community and what we're doing is congruent. Now what I'm hearing is it sounds like the administration programs is actually going to be 30 million as opposed to, so are we voting on 30 million or are we voting on 15 million? Because what's here is 31.2.
It's 15 million.
Presently, which
That's
is
over
15 million.
Yeah.
So
We're projecting over 2 years.
So I know the public can't be astute about this because I'm not following the numbers here. 15 million is on the agenda. So are we gonna come back and vote on another 15 million next year?
Yes, sir. If we get the money next year, yes.
Okay. And then where is it? Where on this list is the 4 million for commission programs? I don't see
It's a
that.
different list. Y'all haven't set your priorities yet. This is what the administration is offering.
So this is just totally half of the 15 million.
Well, this
is all.
This reflects the administration's recommendation to you all, because you've got applications coming in steadily.
Okay.
So the commission board will have the committee will have to prioritize what that would be coming in from the application process.
Okay, thank you. I would also ask that we attach, I don't know if I need to get this to the clerk or to the administration, but there's a Treasury fact sheet that talks about what can and can't be spent, the American Rescue Plan funds.
Website.
You talking about this, or is it the actual fact sheet?
Not the fact sheet.
The fact sheet and what the program specifies is on our website as well.
So there's an actual fact sheet?
No, just the application.
The application.
Just the, okay, so just the application is out there.
Explains the process.
So, to Commissioner Epperson's point, the fact sheet is not out there, so people like Mr. Rudy, who works, who is a small nonprofit, he doesn't have a grant writer on staff, but he may desire, I heard him talk about blight, he may desire to do things that address neighborhood investments, which is right here. Such services as addressing individuals experiencing homelessness, affordable housing development, residential counseling and housing, navigation assistance to facilitate moves to neighborhoods with high economic opportunity. So he may choose to do that. Remediation of lead and hazardous paint, community violence intervention programs. Mr. Smith has worked in that area. And so he may endeavor to do that, but without having this list of FAQs here, I don't know that we're helping them understand what resources or what they could even apply for. So I'd support a motion to postpone at this time, too.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. This all sounds nice and everything, but we also got a timeline of August 31st to get our plan in. So that means if you do community meetings, you're going to have to get that information in and chomp it down and have other meetings. We only have one meeting in July that's scheduled. So we kind of like late if you're trying to do that. To me, if a commissioner wanted to have a town hall meeting, could easily schedule the town hall meeting in your district, and then let your constituents know about this program, how the money is going to be spent. If they had any ideas, that could have been done a long time ago, and not now. We're trying to get this done. We've had committee meetings. Commissioners wanted to be a part of that. They could have came. We sat right here in this chamber and talked about this information. This wasn't no secret. It's been out of all the governing bodies. I think ours and the cities are the most popular to be known. School board, they don't even talk about theirs, but they get more money than both of us put together. So it's just the fact that, hey, it's some money what you can use it for, and then if your constituents, if they come to you with that and it meets the guidelines, put it on the commission program. I mean, that's what that money is for. So, I mean, I don't see why we want to do stop the process and do a workshop at different places. Some commissioners might not want to have one in their district. Some of them don't do town hall meetings. So, I mean, I know Commissioner Epperson does them. I've done one before, a couple before, and some other commissioners have done some, but all commissioners don't do that. So, what we gonna stop the ball, and the ball needs to continue to roll, and we can always make adjustments to it, but we got to keep it going in order to make sure we meet all the guidelines and deadlines. So it's up to the body.
Next year we'll have better have.
Yeah, next year it's a two-part deal. This year is 23 million. Next year is another 23 million. And so what we didn't get together and put together on this year, we can put it in for the next year, 2023. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I know the City of Shreveport's done a good job on having a lot of meetings. I had one in Southern Hills last week. They'll have one again tonight at Cyport. Can the staff request a report, pull all the data, because realistically about 9 out of the 12 commission districts fall within the city, so we can gather a lot of the wants and the needs to expedite the time frame on the wants of the needs of the citizens. And then I know just the outline areas. I know Commissioner Epperson will definitely have a meeting. So up in North Caddo and then maybe in South Shreveport would be the only ones left on the agenda that didn't have a meeting. We could expedite the entire process by doing that. So if maybe the staff could reach out to the city and grab the notes from the meetings that they had throughout the city. Because it's the same needs. It doesn't matter if you live in the District 3 or District 12 of the city of Shreveport or Caddo Parish. You still have the same need. It's your house. I think they're going to mirror each other. I think that'll expedite the process. Thank you, President.
No problem. Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I echo the same observations as Commissioner Chavez. As a matter of fact, I've been to 3 community meetings, and you hear a resounding duplication of things that people want. I agree. A majority of some of our districts definitely have a majority of our districts have the city within it, and there's no sense in duplicating effort. Thank you, city. I think the city is doing everything they can to make sure that they spend the money wisely and at the will of the people. And so we should probably just take the data from those meetings and see what we can work out as well. So thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Cotto.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I fundamentally believe that the community should be a part of what it is, what we're doing. I don't necessarily think we need to slow the process down, because I know we got some guidelines. We've been working with the committee since day one. But I want to see maybe administration can do a little, the communication department do a little blitz, whether it's on local radio, Facebook, soliciting groups that are doing stuff currently in this local community to get their applications in, by the 30th or by July 1. If we do this simultaneously with moving the plan of what we do, moving it down the road, but find a way to engage the public in a very fundamental way so we can get their ideas. Obviously, the people who will participate are going to be groups that are already formed in the city, in the parish. So I think we can do this simultaneously. The ideal and what needs to be done is to let the public know that if you got an idea, we want to hear it, we'll review it, and we'll see whether or not it fits the guidelines. I think we can do both things simultaneously. Thank you.
All right, seeing no one else, we'll vote on the substitute motion to delay and then do town hall meeting.
We voting?
Yes, that's what we vote on now.
Okay, and that motion does not carry with a 6-6, 6 in support, 6 opposed, and none absent. That brings us to the amendment, which was to amend 6080 to reduce the parish administration by $3 million and add that to commission projects.
Mr. Clerk, I'd like to withdraw my amendment and make another substitute motion that we advance and then delay by 2 meetings to be able to give administration the opportunity to go out and have those 3 community meetings.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jackson to vote on the motion and then delay by 2 meetings.
So advance and then delay.
To advance and then delay by 2 meetings. So you talking 2 regular session meetings? Or 2 work session, regular session, or what?
2 regular sessions.
Okay, so that'll put June, and then we only have 1 meeting in July. So that means the first meeting in August.
First week in August.
Okay. So would that give administration time to?
Yeah, I mean, may I speak to that motion?
Yeah.
Because it had a second.
You got a second from Commissioner Evers.
So basically, it basically gives the ordinance an opportunity to be introduced, and it gives administration an opportunity to do the blitz, do the media blitz, but also to go to North Caddo, get with Commissioner Epperson, and get in South Caddo to have those conversations. I don't think it stops the strategic plan. I think the budget is just an aspect of the strategic plan if you're talking about pulling all that other data together, so it shouldn't delay anything. We have a capable staff, so I don't think it delays it, because it's what, August 30th?
August 31st.
August 31st. So August 31st. I don't think it delays it by a whole lot. Like I say, it's just the budget aspect of it. This is not the narrative. I think the narrative somebody said, keep going, do it simultaneous, whatever that was. They were saying do things kind of simultaneous.
That was me, moving the budget along and getting the information out to the community. But as a point of clarification, what do you mean when you say advance and delay? Are you talking about approving it,
So we just
advancing it today,
so we endorse it,
but not spending any money until?
No.
Okay.
Because we can't spend any money. It's a 2-reader anyway.
Okay.
So it's a 2-reader. So basically, it really is just one week that we would be delaying, to be honest, which is just one delay, to be honest.
Delaying the vote.
Yeah, right. To delay final adoption and the public hearing and final adoption. So it gives them an opportunity to address Commissioner Epperson's concern. It gives them basically the entire month of July to address Commissioner.
So that 1
Epperson's
week
concern.
delay, meaning that
Since we only
when we take it up again?
the 1st of August.
1st of August.
Yeah.
That give us enough time, Mr. President?
It's gonna depend on staff getting, that's what the question I was asking, would that be enough time for them to get all the information in from the city, plus the information from the town hall meetings that they gonna have, and then give it to us, then we gotta have a meeting, then we gotta put it all together.
You're gonna have to move out pretty quick.
It's a tight time frame.
Yeah.
I think that we have a very capable staff, never dispute that, but always having to constantly work under the gun and to get a comprehensive, detailed plan out, based on the wishes of the commission, based on the information that you're receiving from your constituents, we would rather have, more time, but know that we will get a strategic plan out by, August 31st.
Okay.
Still have it. So, I mean, it's June now. So we still have the entire, it's June 14th now. We still have the entire month of June. I don't think 3 meetings will take that long. I'd imagine that by mid-July, you'd have all your stuff together, and then the only reason why it goes to the 1st of August is we just simply are only having 1 meeting in July, so it's more of a technicality. So I think we have a
emergency meeting. I can schedule a meeting,
Yeah,
another meeting in July.
or you can schedule
After the regular session, I can schedule another one in July.
Right.
Special
So,
meeting?
yeah, you can
Okay.
schedule a special meeting to
Okay.
do the adoption, but it basically just gives that opportunity for time to be able to address these concerns. So yeah, that is an option to do a special meeting.
Okay.
Commissioner, you do?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want some clarification from Commissioner Jackson on the money again. Why are we taking, what's the purpose
I
of
withdrew
setting
that
aside the
amendment.
money?
I withdrew
Oh,
that
you
amendment at
that,
this
okay.
time.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
So now we're just concerned with the timetable.
Yes.
All right, so.
To delay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, so let me ask this other question. If we do that, would that also delay the payment to the employees?
No, sir.
So that money is coming from another fund?
Yes, we appropriated that out of the general fund.
Okay, and
So
then.
that's gonna be
And
paid.
then being reimbursed back over.
Right.
So
Yes, sir.
some of that money that you see in this 15 million is reimbursement for stuff we've already done and stuff we already said we wanted to do. So they get that money back. Okay, now we'll vote on the substitute motion to advance and then delay to have the 3 town hall meetings and the administration to get the information from the city of Shreveport from their town hall meeting.
Yeah,
And
President
the
Johnson.
community blast.
And we'll have a special meeting in July.
And the community blast. Getting
Well,
that-
that
that's
wasn't my
part of-
motion.
that's part of-
That wasn't my motion. My motion was to delay by 2 meetings.
Okay.
Until we had those.
So you delayed the 2 meetings and I'll still schedule another
Yeah,
meeting.
to delay 2 meetings until we had those meetings, those community meetings.
I think the clerk may have a question for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just for clarity's sake, I've heard a couple of different people express when the delay is, and I just want to make sure
So the
that
first
we-
delay is coming up Thursday.
You're talking about, as I'm hearing it, it would be advanced to the Thursday agenda, introduced on the Thursday agenda, and then postponed to the August 3rd meeting. Is that correct? Or August 5th meeting, I'm sorry.
Ideally, but if a special meeting is called in before August 5th, then.
Yeah, we need to know, the reason I ask is because we need to advertise for public hearing.
Yeah.
So if it's, if you have a certain date in mind, I mean, our regular session is on the 5th. We just need to be able to advertise it.
I think Todd gonna fix this for me. You got the date, Todd?
Well, just point of information. wouldn't it be easier, we're gonna introduce it, we're moving for introduction now. So it's been introduced in the paper, but we're gonna have to come back and reintroduce in the paper because we'll change our public hearing date.
Mm-hmm.
The public hearing date will be that first Thursday
Mm-hmm.
in final passage.
Mm-hmm.
So that should take care of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be August the 5th? Would it be the August 5th regular session?
Yeah, that Thursday, first
Yeah, that's
session in
what-
Thursday.
That's what we were asking.
Of August.
Okay, that's what we'll go with then. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Unless the president,
Well, I'm gonna have a special meeting, so that'll kill that.
Okay.
but we need to know that because it needs to be in the,
So the special meeting would be July 29th.
July 29th.
That'll be the Thursday after, and it won't interfere with the city council. And I also like to welcome City Councilman Jerry Bowman is in the corner. That works for you, Jeff?
I think initially, I'll check and see if the room's open, but I think so.
Okay. All right. So now we know what we're voting on? Okay. All right, let's vote.
But you want to repeat that? Because I know what my motion was.
Yeah, I mean, the motion that I have is to postpone, postpone to, beyond the next meeting, so beyond the July meeting.
Correct. To 2 meetings.
Yeah.
Yes. Appreciate it. Just wanted to clarify.
All right, so the 2 meetings will be
2 meetings
Thursday.
inclusive of Thursday's regular session.
Right.
Yeah. Does that clarify it? Okay.
Commissioner Burrell?
All right, and that motion passes with 12 in support, none in opposition. And that brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6081 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the 2021 budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Juvenile Justice Fund and the Oil and Gas Fund to establish and provide an appropriation for a pilot program for juvenile offender monitoring and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. I don't have anything to say. Commissioner Watts, you want to speak?
Sure. Good afternoon, Commissioners. As we've already discussed, and you already are well aware that we face this unfunded mandate to house 17-year-olds at juvenile detention center without any resources. In response to the unfunded mandate, this ordinance is an additional attempt to provide alternatives to youth incarceration as a pilot program for 5 juvenile offenders selected by Juvenile Services. This will allow staff at JDC to utilize the most modern technology-enabled electronic monitoring. This technology could enhance public safety and help to reduce youth incarceration. The devices include GPS technology for tracking purposes in real time and are equivalent to smart watches and are not as intrusive as an ankle monitor, which often prevent offenders from working in certain environments. The devices can be used from arrest to conviction. The watches will be monitored 24/7 during this 3-month pilot program. Commissioners, I ask for your support in passing this ordinance. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I'd like to just add on an amendment, and I don't know if you want to do it as a friendly amendment or not, that any cost, if this is eligible to be reimbursed from the American Rescue Plan Fund, that we would make it eligible to be reimbursed.
Absolutely.
Very innovative, but if we can reimburse it.
I accept that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President?
You accept it on my
Absolutely.
behalf. On my behalf.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a question about this for the administration. Ms. Bryant, it's specifically for Director Walker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Director Walker, do you remember the meeting we had, I think it was in March, when we were still virtual, about this topic, the monitors?
No.
Okay, good. Well, I remember it a little, and something, I remember you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that everyone in juvenile detention who could be on an ankle monitor already was.
Yes, yes. That giving us more monitors wouldn't necessarily let more kids out. We've got the monitors. You've already done that.
Okay.
You've already provided us the monitors we need in terms of the number. This is just a different type, the ankle monitor as opposed to the watch.
How do these compare in cost to the monitors that we have now?
They're far more expensive, and that's one of the concerns. The reason we wanted to set it up as a pilot was to see how effective, more effective. We've got some reports that they're more easily cut off, so we have some concerns about that. But that's why we're doing it as a pilot with a relatively small amount of money right now to test them. We'd also use them only on limited. We would be pretty choosy about which children. Children that might have more of a history of cutting ankle monitors off would not be eligible for this. These are for young folks that are doing a little better, that might be eligible for jobs, which is unfortunately kind of rare with the kids that I work with. So we would be choosy about it to try to put it on those children.
Okay, so so it does make a difference from your perspective that these might decrease the social stigma of being under some kind of justice system surveillance.
I think that's absolutely true.
Okay.
There is a stigma to the ankle monitor. Frankly, some kids like it and most don't. So it would absolutely help with that, yes.
Sure. Well, so my thought was, like, in some cases the stigma might not be always negative because it might work as an incentive, but if it prevents someone from getting some kind of employment, then that would be a negative.
Correct.
And you think there are 5 kids at juvenile who are looking for employment that this would work for?
Yeah, I think 5 is the appropriate number to start with. That's where we want to test it. We want to test to see how easily they're broken, that sort of thing. And the bottom line, I think I was explaining to one of the commissioners, this is just, you're giving me another tool for our toolbox, which is good. We'll always use additional tools if it'll help us with our work.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all.
Yes, sir. And thank you.
Commissioner Talaferro, you can go ahead.
Mr. Walker, you can just answer right there. The quick question for you is, in the development of these wrist monitors, is there any kind of a fail-safe that actually indicates whether the device is actually cut and removed?
So yes, yeah, they have ways that it shows that it's been damaged. They have to be charged. If they're not charged, we get notified on all of that. This newest technology can literally notify the probation officer on their cell phone what's happening with that youth, with that monitor.
Thank you. I just wanted the rest of the commission to know that there is a fail-safe as far as them being defeated.
Yes.
So to speak.
Oh, stay
Yes,
right
sir.
there.
Yes, sir.
So I guess the question I have is, the watches are more of a newer technology.
Yes.
With the ankle bracelets, and I asked this question and I hadn't got really an answer, but on the ankle monitors, they just basically tell you that it's connected to a body, a temperature, or it basically saying that someone is still wearing it.
Yes, I mean, these days actually, depending on the technology you want, there are ankle monitors that can gauge the blood alcohol level of the person wearing it.
Okay.
They can tell you all sorts of things. So
But the
yes.
ones we have basically says that this person is wearing it and that's it.
That is charged and being used, yes.
Okay, so with the watches that we're proposing under the pilot plan, they also have a GPS built into them.
Yes.
So you'll know where they are.
Yes.
You can also set up boundaries that if this person is not supposed to go, say, cross Hearn.
Right.
And if they cross Hearn, alarm goes off, and then you can find out what's going on. They will receive a text message and a phone call to say, why have you crossed Hearn?
That's right.
So it gives us more accountability to where they're at all times.
There are inclusion and exclusion zones.
Right.
You cannot go within a mile of that victim's home.
Right.
You cannot leave your own home except for to go to school or church.
Right.
So you can be made to stay somewhere or made to stay away from somewhere, absolutely.
Right, which gives us more accountability to that individual.
Absolutely, another tool we can
So with the
use.
accountability, the technology, you would expect to have a higher cost for monitoring. With
Yes,
the technology.
It is a higher cost, and I think it's also the beginning of this technology. So it may be with competition it'll come down. We'll see.
Now, the price that it initially had has been worked down.
Yes.
From the meeting that you had.
That's true.
Yeah, I used some of my other heritage to help get it down.
Yes.
All right. Seeing no one else, let's vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Watson.
Mr. President, is it open yet?
Yes, go
Is
ahead.
it open already?
What? Is it open?
The vote. Is it too late? I was going to englobe vote 6082. Is it too late, Joe?
No, it's still open.
Yes. I make a motion to englobe vote 6082 at this time.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Gage Watson to advance and global ordinance number 6081 and 6082 of 2021. Now, seeing no one on the board, we'll vote.
And that motion passes with 12 in support, none in opposition. That brings us to our next item, is to authorize resolution number 53 of 2021. It's a resolution designating June 19th of each year as Juneteenth Independence Day in Caddo Parish in recognition of June 19th, 1865, the date that has become widely associated with the emancipation of slavery in the United States and to otherwise providing with respect thereto.
So move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts to advance ordinance number, well, resolution number 54. No, 53. Commissioner Jackson, will speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is a resolution that we did last year to basically make Juneteenth a holiday for the parish of Caddo. I did talk to Dr. Wilson, and I was kind of like, Doc, why are we doing this again? And thought we had taken care of it. But what he's going to do is submit, and I believe that's in the resolution somewhere, where he's going to submit a plan as per the charter.
Yes.
As per the charter to the Personnel and Policies and Procedures Committee to formally change the parish calendar to recognize this as a parish holiday, so that we don't have to keep doing this every year after year after year. We could do a special proclamation to recognize it, but we wouldn't have to do an official vote every year, because I'll be honest with you, I almost forgot to do it for this year. So yes, and it recognizes also that this year during the legislative session, HB 544, and the governor signed it into law that makes it a state holiday, so it is now a state holiday. And Commissioner Burrell, we also recognize Act 68 of 2015 that you authored as well, that talks about the sale of fireworks so that it can be more of a commemorative holiday. So I want to encourage people to get out this weekend to celebrate and recognize the heritage that comes with Juneteenth. There's a lot of activities going on. Let the Good Times Roll Festival. There's a concert at the Lot. There's the Saddle project that's going on over at Shreveport Common. I believe Commissioner Cawthorn, he may talk about it later. They had a great program this weekend, and they also have some more coming up with the Pomoja Art Center that talked about Juneteenth. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part to recognize the history that is Juneteenth and recognize it to its full, the full impact of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Move to englobo resolution number 53 and 54.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Gage Watts to englobo and advance resolution 53 and 54. So you still have the floor. Anything else you want to say?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't normally keep up with state legislation as much as I used to.
I can't believe it.
Oh, wow.
Well, sometimes you got to give it a rest. But at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, I think this year is when the state has declared June 19th officially a holiday. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Talaferro.
You can pull me from the request to speak, Mr. President. I've been answered.
Let's vote on those two resolutions.
Okay, and that motion passes unanimously with 12 in support. That brings us to authorized resolution number 55 of 2021. It's a resolution urging and requesting the Louisiana State Legislature to study the effects of the Justice Reinvestment legislation of 2017 and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Lazarus, second by Commissioner Talaferro. Commissioner Lazarus, to your motion.
Yes. This is just an attempt to gather some data. That's all this is. I'm not asking anybody to change anything. We're just going to study this and see how this affects our area. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Chavez, oh, okay, I thought you were reaching.
Reaching to vote.
Yeah, read it.
Okay, seeing no one else, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 in opposition. And that brings us to the next item, which is to authorize resolution number 56 of 2021. It's a resolution in support of the George Floyd Policing Act and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
So move.
Second.
A move by Commissioner Carthon, second by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Carthon will speak to your motion.
Yes, sir. Hey, the George Floyd Policing Act has made its way through the House and is now making its way through the Senate. This has been a very severe bipartisan effort led by none other on the Republican side, Tim Scott, and Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. We know that the George Floyd incident was the culmination of a lineage of police brutality in this nation, and this is a mechanism to heal this nation. All over police departments over the entire United States. And I know there are concerns on both sides of the aisle, but when you think about it, 97% of the police officers out there are actually doing that job. This right here is corrective measures for the 3% that are not doing that job. So I solicit you guys' support on this, and as we continue to address systemic issues in our nation, in our state, in our local domicile. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 in opposition. And that brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is to authorize a special resolution of remembrance of Pastor Johnny Arnold.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Chavez. Basically, Pastor Arnold, his son is a pastor here in Shreveport. He asked, will we give a special resolution? His father just passed recently, so that's what this is about. It's already been read at the funeral, and so we won't have to read it Thursday. Commissioner Jackson?
I'd like to move to englobe the special resolution for Mr. Arnold, special resolution for Pride Month, special resolution for Parks and Recreation Month, and to authorize confirmation of the Poet Laureate.
Can we leave that one out? There's some little controversy on that.
Oh, okay.
Second.
And just as a reminder, we do have the 2 agenda additions, which were proclamations. If,
Oh,
if
well,
anyone-
those 2 proclamations as well.
So you wanted to include all the proclamations essentially,
Yes,
and
sir.
but exclude the Poet Laureate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I heard.
Okay, so that's been moved by Commissioner Jackson to englobo the remaining resolutions, which are, well, the special resolution, the special proclamation, the 2 special proclamations, and the 2 agenda additions.
The 2 agenda additions, yes.
And it was second by Commissioner Young. Seeing no one on the board, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and none in opposition, 1 absent. And that brings us to authorize confirmation of Caddo Parish Poet Laureate.
Move to advance.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Atkins, seconded by Commissioner Lazarus. Commissioner Atkins, you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have any emotional attachment to this particular appointment. However, it's been a tradition over the years that we have a poet laureate for Caddo Parish. So when asked if I'd be willing to sponsor it, I said, sure, I'd be happy to sponsor it. I understand there's some additional discussion, so I'm open for the additional discussion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Well, I guess my problem with the Caddo Parish poet ladder is that we assign someone to this position and then we never see them. We was told that they would come and they was supposed to do poems at particular events. I never see that. At one time, the parish was actually paying this person to do this, and you never saw them. I know that kind of changed a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be sponsored this time or not, but if we're paying someone to be a poet laureate, the way you want to call it, laureate, then they should basically come. They should come to some of the meetings. I mean, they should have a poem to give at least once a year. And at some of the functions we have, they should be there just like they said they was going to be. But you never see them. And I was told that the last one won some awards somewhere. But even if they won the awards, why they didn't come back to the parish that appointed them to say, hey, look, this is what I've done. They hadn't done really nothing. They're only just doing is carrying the title of Caddo Parish. So I've been against it from the time they started it up. I think it was somewhere around
2014, I believe. 2014?
13, 14, something
like
like
that, yeah.
in my first term. And I just don't see the need for it because you never see them. Commissioner Jackson.
Now I'm really lost. So what I see here on the agenda, because I was opening it up to kind of see, what I see here is Mr. John Warner Smith is making a recommendation of 3 people.
Yes, you have a process, as I understand it, that applications are advertised through the Shreveport Regional Arts Council and then go to the Louisiana Poet Laureate for.
Oh, is that Mr. John? Is that who the John Warner Smith guy is?
Yes, that's who wrote that recommendation letter. So he put those 3 candidates up, and the top is the recommendation. We can go ahead and attach the 3 candidates if you prefer to do it that way.
Hamilton.
I just
Yeah.
This says Hugh Hamilton. It doesn't say the 3 people that's on the list. I'm confused. What we got?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What
Poetic X is Hugh Hamilton.
Oh.
That is just his
Somebody-
legal name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a resident of.
I know.
District
Yeah.
2. Yeah.
Okay.
He's-
All right. I know him as Poetic X. All right.
Yeah. Hugh Hamilton is his name.
Interesting.
I
So
didn't
you
know
put
his
his
other
government
name
name on it. I hope
All right.
nobody was looking for him.
Commissioner Carter.
Yes, Commissioner Jackson just raised a great point. So John is recommending.
Poetic X.
That's who you recommended?
I'm going along with the recommendation from.
You might want to put that in
That's who
parentheses.
Poetic X is Mr. Hugh Hamilton.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's what I
Okay.
understand to be the
Okay.
case.
All right. I don't have a problem with the parish having a poet laureate. I think it also a level of sophistication to our body and to our organization. I think the last time we did this was 2018. Matter of fact, I was at the ceremony and made the announcement. And you're right, Commissioner Johnson. I didn't see her. And so I don't know. And maybe she did, but I don't know if we can add an amendment to this that they need to create a poem for the parish. And so they need to be, when we inaugurate it, they need to do a poem that day. And any official, maybe once a quarter, to come to one of the meetings and do a poem. So we don't want to overwork them, but they definitely need to be when we bring in new commissioners, offer a poem, and at least biannually do a poem to the body. Would you accept it as a friendly amendment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we also add another friendly amendment to also have something in our annual report? That we
Oh,
give
yes.
out, the annual report that we sent out to the public, that they put something in there as well.
I accept that amendment.
And I can go along with that, because they're gonna be working, we're gonna see something out of it.
And I've seen the poetry styles of Poetic X before, on more than one occasion.
Maybe you can share it with you.
I will do that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Could we add to that they come down Thursday and give us a little taste of their music?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Commissioner Epson, I'd be happy to do that, but maybe we should give them like a little while to get ready.
They should be.
Y'all be
He can
ready.
go on the fly.
Anything they-
Yo,
yeah.
he ready. He ready.
All right, that's fine, Commissioner Epson.
Come down and give us a little rap.
Yeah, he can freestyle.
Commissioner, the clerk.
So, yeah, just for clarity, so when we received this packet of information with this recommendation, this nominee does not know that he was the choice yet. This is when we're making this public now as part of this public process. But he wasn't aware that he's the pick yet. This is the first time that's kind of being made public. But to follow that up, with that, we also received a submission from the current poet laureate who expressed her, disappointment that she wasn't able to meet last year and present her body of work, but that she has been writing poems yearly as I guess as the appointment she understood it, or and I apologize, I wasn't here when it was made, but she does have poems that she would like to present to y'all, and she is actually a finalist in contention for state poet laureate right now. So she would like to come address the commission at some point. And this is the outgoing one.
Seeing no other commission, let's vote.
So
We're
we
voting
can
on
have a poet off.
The three amended,
All poet off. Let them show their stuff, and then we'll vote.
So if that's the case, we need to change what we're authorizing to include all of them, plus her. Because if we don't, then I guess you can do a substitute motion Thursday, but it would be cleaner to do it today than wait till Thursday.
Yeah, is that?
that'll be fine. We can open it up to any of the appointments, the appointment of any of the mentioned names. These three listed here, as well as our current poet laureate.
So we're gonna have a slam contest Thursday?
Commissioner
Poetry
Chavez.
slam?
Can I miss it? No.
Commissioner Chavez.
I was gonna make the motion to add the fourth one, but I guess it got achieved, so if I understand, we're gonna have open mic night on
Yeah.
Thursday?
Yeah. Bring
Okay.
popcorn.
Got it.
Okay, so we're voting on the amendment to the amendment, which is to have all four to come
Wait,
down.
it's three, I believe.
It's
There's
three
three applicants.
It's
Yeah.
three on the recommendation, then you mentioned the four.
She doesn't
The
wanna
fourth
be.
one is your current poet laureate who had just asked to
Is that number three?
be a visitor at some point. She was just saying she would be glad to present some poems at some
I would
point.
bring her at a later.
She's not an applicant.
Oh, she doesn't want to renew? Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
She just wants
So
to.
she don't come Thursday. Don't bring her Thursday.
Yeah. Just at some point in the future, she'd like to present what she worked on for you.
Okay. All right, so basically now to move forward would be with all three names instead of one name. That's what we'll be voting on now. Let's vote. I don't see nobody on the board. With those stipulations that we said that they had to show up at 2.
That's a lot.
Okay. That
We'll put 'em
motion
to work.
passes with 12 in support and none in opposition. And that brings us to the next item on our agenda, which is the commission to convene into executive session.
Move that the commission move into executive session with the administrator, the assistant administrator, the attorney, assistant attorney, and I guess the director of finance. Do they need to be in?
Mr. President, may I make a substitute motion?
Well, I ain't got a second yet.
Oh,
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by the chair to go into executive session with those that I mentioned and seconded by Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Jackson.
Can I make a substitute motion that we go ahead and just knock out the rest of what's on our agenda and then go into executive session after that? So we don't have much to go.
Well, we don't have any We don't have any,
So we just knock
Second,
out communiques. That way, when we get finished with executive session, you just reconvene and leave.
well, if we don't really have too much on communicating, we can still do the same.
I think we got an administrative report,
Yeah.
and we've got.
Administrative report don't be about 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. If we just go and knock it out on the front end.
All right. We'll go ahead. We don't have any late arrivals, so we can go ahead and do it that way. I'm fine.
By unanimous consent to suspend the rule, suspend the agenda, and take that out of order.
Okay, so I heard, did I hear that pass by unanimous consent?
Acclamation.
By
Acclamation, yeah.
I don't see nobody nodding their head the wrong way, so.
Okay, okay, so we'll come back to that item after the next, and I'll go ahead to communicates and committee reports, where the first item is commission remarks, communicates, reports, and other items.
This was in reference to the, Commissioner Jackson addressed mine, so you can remove me.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson, was you on?
Yes, I was.
All right, then I got Commissioner Young after.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to let everyone know there's an Animal Services Committee meeting tomorrow in this room at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about the TNR program, a mobile microchipping program, potential mandatory spay-neuter ordinance, and maybe one other item that I can't remember. So I hope to see you all there. We're going to have a good lunch. Thank you. That's all.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mrs. The mother of Casey Simpson was here, and she asked about the update on the independent investigation. Can y'all share that with us? I know we couldn't talk during public comment section, but I'd like to know what's the status of where we are and what's going on.
Commissioners, my understanding, we have not had a response to the request to the governor to get the state police to investigate.
But the request has been made.
Yes,
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson made the request at the April meeting, or sent it that week.
No, I thought Miss Simpson made a request to the administration.
No, we actually worked through the commission president on that.
Wait, hold on. So the commission adopted a process. I don't want us to sound like we got two tracks running. I remember he had his letter.
Yes.
Right? And so we hadn't heard back from his letter, but then we adopted a resolution that said that the relatives could submit, they could submit something asking for that independent investigation as well. Has that happened?
To whom?
To the administrator.
I never got anything.
So you hadn't, that's what I'm asking.
No, sir.
Okay. So she hadn't gotten, so she has not.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't got
Can I
anything.
answer that right quick?
Because the resolution, so I know there was a commission deal. I know there was a commission president letter that went out.
Yes.
But then we also adopted a procedure.
Yeah, to preserve the evidence.
Preserve
Right.
camera footage, but also
Right.
that they could request within 30 days, I believe. And so are you saying she has not made that
I haven't got
request?
anything.
Well, now, the family has made a request of the commission, but not to the administrator.
She made it in writing?
There was a request sent in writing.
So that may have been the request she's referring to.
But she informed me in the hall that that wasn't her lawyer, that was the kid's lawyer, so.
That was the.
I can give you
I'm
an
sorry.
update if you want.
Well, I'll take any response right
All
now.
right, so I did send a letter to the governor. When I talked to the governor when he was up here for the Amazon announcement, he told me that he had not received it. I told him I sent it to him both electronically and also by mail, postage mail. Then also, I got word to her that she was to go get an attorney, and for her attorney to go to the DA's office to request an investigation, and the DA was going to take the case up. And to my understanding, that has already started. So I don't know what else that needs to happen.
Well, so
that's your outside investigation is with the DA right now.
So I guess I'm trying to make sure that our policy that we established as a commission policy was followed.
Yes, sir, it was.
So what was those steps?
The policy was to notify any occupant of parish-owned facility
Mhm.
then once there's a death reportable at a certain period of time, to notify us.
Mhm.
And we send letters to every agency and
Mhm.
every department head. We've already taken that action.
Requesting the external investigation?
No. Requesting to be notified in the case of a.
Right. But you're saying, I may be asking the question wrong. Did she submit her request for an external, a third-party investigation? Because I hear Attorney Frazier saying she submitted something, but it says, see number 2, it says administrator to request independent third-party inquiry from a non-parish agency. So has that happened?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
No, sir.
Okay.
I thought that action was being handled through the president's letter to the governor.
Basically, it's my understanding, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, that the state police
Yes.
determined that the, wanted a letter or had something to the governor from the commission president, that he wouldn't have had the authority to request.
Well, it's either that. So, again, our process, and I think we got a process issue and a procedure issue, was that our request was supposed to be that the parent, the next of kin, somebody could make a request to the parish, and the parish administrator would also make a request. It said nothing about the parish president. I know that the state police has that's why we had the conversation about the practice. What is the practice versus what is the policy? And so the practice is that the commission president, and he did that. And he's saying he's already told us what his response was.
Yes.
But our policy was that a request would come and the parish administrator would make a request of that non-parish law enforcement agency as well. So I think.
So 2 letters as opposed to 1?
Well, that's just in this case. In another case, it may not be, but that's just in this case. So maybe if we could follow up with Ms. Simpson to see how can we request. My understanding is the governor, if he sees it 2 or 3 times, that's what gets his attention.
Because if the administrator had to make the request, I would have to use the same process that the president used.
Yes. Yeah. That's the policy. Remember, we established what is a practice versus what is our policy.
Well, that's a state policy. What I did was a state policy.
Yeah.
Right, but we established the internal policy. We established the internal policy.
So in other words, you're saying the president should have done it, I should have done it.
No. No. What we said was we didn't want the practice to be subject, because Lyndon won't always be commission president.
Right.
That's correct. That's a state policy.
Right.
I mean, practice.
So the state has the policy, and we have an internal policy. And so I'm just trying to see if our internal SOP has been followed.
No.
Okay. So,
As it relates to this, because.
yes. So can we get with Ms. Casey to get the letter?
Okay, but what you're asking is to duplicate what has already been done.
I think when we had the debate about the resolution at the time, we discussed that we were very much aware that there could be 2 letters that went out.
Because Mr. Johnson, I had this conversation before he sent his letter out.
Right. And we had that conversation. And we wanted to.
Personally, we had this conversation. I spoke to Commissioner Johnson about sending the letter out. We talked about that.
And right now, and I'm not saying that he did anything wrong. What I'm saying is, it was understood that there may be 2 letters in some instances.
Okay.
The next commission president may not do a letter. Okay. So what we established was an internal parish policy that has defined steps. And so what I'm asking is, can we go to that next step? It doesn't sound like that next step has been taken. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fine. I have a problem writing the letter.
Yeah, so it's going to be some little duplication, but that's fine. Thank you.
Time is expired.
I know. Can I get an extra 3 minutes?
Been moved by Commissioner Burrell, second by.
Second.
Talaferro.
3 minutes.
To extend 3 minutes.
We had to walk that through. And thank you, Dr. Wilson. The other thing that I was going to say is that the Lakeside Neighborhood Association is going to have a neighborhood association meeting. I would like for parish administration to come and provide them with, they're going to have their meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. I would like for somebody to come give them an update on rental assistance as well as the ARP funds. I'll get that date. I'll get that time, but I know it is on the 17th at Andrew Curry Park. So would like for that to take place. And then I'll just yield the floor because I know I've kind of run over my time on this thing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you. We're on the communiques, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You guys should have received an email in conjunction with Juneteenth celebration this weekend. We are inviting a civil rights icon that a lot of people don't know, but his claim to fame would have been, you remember in 1964 when Goodman, Cheney, and Swartz was killed in Neshoba County, Mississippi? He was the guy that was supposed to be driving the car, the station wagon, but he had to go back and do some additional work. His name is Dave Dennis. He's born in Omega, Louisiana, and he was raised in Shreveport. And he was a freedom rider. He was active in the civil rights community for years. As a matter of fact, we often talk about the Little Union situation. He had some coordination with coming down in the aftermath of that particular event. He was friends with C.O. Simpkins, and so he will be in town Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week. And there's going to be a reception at LSUS from 6:30 to 8:30 this Thursday. So it will be after our commission meeting on Thursday. So he's going to be there. It's going to be a reception, but the way it's going to be set up, he's going to come in and be interviewed by two students at LSUS. They're going to ask him a little bit about the Civil Rights Days and what he's doing now, and I'll take some questions from the audience. And then the rest of the time, he'll be mixing and mingling with people here in the local community, kind of giving experiences of what he did in the Civil Rights Movement. Then Friday morning, he'll be at Little Union Church. You know, they just got the designation from the state, what they call it, the History Trail. And then Saturday, he'll be at Peace for Rest Church. And that'll be a conversation about nonviolence. Does it work in the 21st century? Some of the stuff, the protests that people are doing now, how do you do that in a coordinated fashion? So it'll be a mechanism by which they'll be picking his brain for contemporary methodology to do activism in the 21st century. So it's going to be a great week. It's going to be a great pleasure to have him here. So this Thursday, 6:30 to 8:30, if you commissioners can come out, stop by, it will be a time well spent. Thank you.
Mr. Teleferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we all know, today is Flag Day, and I think that we take for granted every time that we possibly say the Pledge of Allegiance or sing the Star-Spangled Banner into what our flag actually represents. And so I didn't want today to go past without giving my sentiments to how much I love that flag. And she is a grand old flag, and to look upon her as just a piece of cloth decorated with red and white stripes and a bunch of stars against a blue background does her a disservice. To many of us, our military, former and active, and those of us who called ourselves true patriots, she is more than just a colorful piece of cloth flying over our public buildings and in front of many of our homes. She's a symbol of genuine goodness of our nation, a symbol of welcome for all those who seek her shelter and protection from persecution. She represents a nation who, even with our mistakes through history, remains unapologetic for being the greatest nation on earth. She's withstood the test of time through many conflicts, battles, degradation, and disrespect. She has and is still a symbol of hope to those who left oppressed and failing countries with the promise of a better, more fulfilling life in the land of the free. She is the symbol of the countless many who have given willingly their loyalty and have paid the ultimate sacrifice to defend the way of life and freedoms we enjoy. She is more than just a flag. She is the light upon the hill, a beacon of hope shining through the darkness and tumultuous world, the truest symbol of greatness, which says to all who see her that there is but one country which stands above all, who God has chosen to stand in the gap between good and evil, who will continue to be the tip of the spear and have military members who walk the wall to protect those of us who call her home. Thank you, Mr. President.
I think we've found our poor laureate.
Wrap off.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. It slipped my mind. Dr. Wilson, Jeff, do we have any rules that govern decorum of visitors during this meeting? If so, where will we find that?
Yep.
Because I know the city council has rules that govern attendance at their meetings, but is there something that governs the overall, just in general, chamber rules, or y'all can't think of any? Okay, because I've never understood how a visitor in this body can show up here and walk all in restricted areas. And I have asked before that we address this issue.
Yeah, we have. I thought we did.
But they're all in our mailbox area. They're all in the kitchen area, unaccompanied. Now they move to the basement. So if we're gonna allow one person to do it, I think some of the activists who come down here might be wanting to go and wander down in the basement and play around on some folks' cars and trucks. Would we like that? Erica, Ms. Brown, how would you feel if you walked out to your car? Wouldn't you feel a little violated? Somebody walked out to your car and had been all over your car in your personal space. What are we doing? We're letting certain people do whatever they want to do when they come in this building. And any citizen, this young man walked in and sat down. They all walked in and sat down. Some folks, they get up and they wandering all around this place in restricted areas. Women are down there, they go down there. So if we open that door to let people just come down there, what we gonna do when somebody's purse gets snatched? Or a knife or a gun or a lone wolf shows up down there? What are we doing? And I'm asking today that we put some measures in place that has some limitations on how people wander around this building. We're living in a sick country these days. People are being provoked and want to provoke people. And I'm not going to be diplomatic with somebody invading my personal space. I'm not going to be diplomatic about it. I'm just saying, I'd hate to have a lady, Commissioner Gage Watts, walking out to her car and there's clear barriers up there, and one of the individuals who just hanging out down here is sitting up by her car. But we've opened that door, and it needs to be called out immediately. It's a safety concern. And I think Commissioner Gage Watts will handle her, and I'll be right there to help her handle it. Oh yeah. But just think about the door that we're opening when we do that. We got law enforcement officials who come in and out of here.
You have used up your 3 minutes.
Oh, we got judges across the street that have restricted areas. We're opening the door to a dangerous situation, and we don't need to allow that. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Next item.
Next item is going to be the administrator report.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'll be brief with my comments today. The relocation of the Confederate Monument is still progressing well. We are still soliciting vendors to come and look at it, give us a price on it within our budget parameters. More to come on that. The Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund, RFP, should come back around June 30th, and the contract to be awarded at the end of July. The welcome sign at I-49, we're still waiting to hear from the state on the permitting process. It does take a while for the state to complete that process, so the ball is still moving rather slowly, but forward. FEMA, COVID-19, we did submit our application for FEMA reimbursement, and we are awaiting their response now. The ball's in their court. The U.S. Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program, otherwise known as the ERAP program, is progressing well. As of today, we have dispensed over $4.3 million to assist 1,000 families participant applications. All remaining applications in the queue will be exhausted this week. So that would be a rather quick process. Going forward, hopefully, if all the information is obtained from the applicants, and we are implementing some modifications to the program, which includes assisting with some legal aid, asking for, being more specific on the application for the income status, when per say 2020 versus 21, and also putting in place an appeal process for those who may think they have maybe the data may not have been correct, entry or otherwise. So we encourage all our residents to go to the Caddo COVIDRentHelp.org to seek information there. And also, I had a request for the status at the Juvenile Detention Center. We currently have 21 kids at the center, 3 are OJJ, and 5 of the kids are 17 years old. We are having hearings today to possibly determine who will leave. That changes every day, of course. At the Caddo Correction Center, we have 11 youth. 1 is 15 years old, and 3 are 16 and 17-year-olds. And we have no status on the information about the second Circuit Court appeal that's being sought there. So that's an update on the detention center. Also, you should have at your station the May's financial report, and for the month. But you already have the American Rescue Plan handout. So that concludes my report. Unless there's some questions for me, I'll be glad to entertain it for you.
Yes. How many, you say you got legal aid for the rental assistance? How many attorneys do we have?
We are trying to negotiate that now. And Erica's been in contact with the legal aids, Attorney Scott, about getting that service in place to help those who may need it.
Okay.
We're figuring we'll negotiate a monetary amount and not to go beyond that. And then whoever needed help we'll let them know that's available.
And we're still on track to finish Tier 4s by June 16th?
I didn't hear you.
We still on track to finish Tier 4s by June 16th?
To select all tier 4s.
Yes.
Okay. And on the monument, I know you said you've been shopping. Have we got any takers on any of the stuff?
Yes, sir. We have a couple. Yes, we think we have a serious contender, and we also waiting. One expressed that they need some more time to give us some data relative to the costs.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's all. Commissioner Evans.
Dr. Wilson, would you convey the sentiments of a number of citizens to the staff at the Shirley Francis compactor site about the attitude of those employees there? They are very amenable, and everyone is very complimentary of them.
Okay.
The Shirley Francis compactor site.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I will convey it.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I just want to thank Dr. Wilson, thank you and your staff for making those changes and recommendations to the U.S. Treasury program. I think, that's what happens when everybody sits down, put their thinking cap on, and work together. Also, if you could maybe elaborate next time a little bit more on the FEMA COVID-19 reimbursement. And then I also thank you for your work, Valerie, work on the RFP and getting it out on the street and getting whatever responses that you get. Also, in your follow-up, I guess in your response, Commissioner response on Thursday, if you could let us know how we can put up signage for restricted areas in the chambers. So if you could give us that update on Thursday.
In conversation with Mr. Whitehorn.
Okay. Well, if y'all could come up with a plan, maybe with the chamber
it had to be
committee
something that both the city, because that door downstairs is kept constantly open all day, and there's not always a sheriff deputy downstairs, so people can.
But I think just some signage that says restricted personnel only, some simple as restricted personnel in the
Okay.
entrances and exits, and even maybe even around here. It's just, restricted personnel. That's why we have these badges, I assume, is to get.
Yes, sir, to give us access to restricted areas. That's
All right, I was making sure. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you
All right.
again, Dr. Wilson.
Seeing no one else, next item will
Takes us
be
to-
to go back into our regular format and then go
Second.
into executive session, which we've already had we got President's report. I'll say that to Thursday. I'm tired. And we'll go into executive session now. The motion has already been made on that, and it was seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts to limit it to the administrator, the assistant administrator, the parish attorney, assistant parish attorney. Any other staff needs to stay?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, and then all other staff could go. The public, we will ask that you would go out into the lobby, and when we come back into regular session, you can come back in. Yeah, which would be just to adjourn our meeting. So basically, our meeting is officially and unofficially over. And we'll ask the sound people to cut off the mics in a few minutes. Huh?